I don't think I've ever seen a show destroy its own hype and momentum as bad as this one. Let me explain.
Am I crazy, or does this seem like Amazon Prime wants Invincible to fail?
Don't forget the good I did. My work, my deeds, my books.
I've never seen a show kill off their own hype like Invincible just did.
Amazon killed the hype for one of their best series just because they wanted to make money off of you guys.
Read my books, Mark.
So after a break that no one asked for, Invincible has returned to our television screens with the back half of season 2. But instead of discussing what's one of the craziest episodes of the series by far, the past weekend saw all of my social media flooded with claims that the break has effectively killed all the hype surrounding Invincible. That no one cares anymore, everyone forgot what was going on in the show, and that the fall off needs to be studied. Even Critical made a video about how this kind of release schedule only harms the show and deters people's investment in the story. And it all left me thinking, is that true? Did Amazon kneecap one of their heavy hitters by splitting it up into 2 parts? Is the internet just overreacting again? Or is the truth somewhere in the middle? Now, this isn't our first time talking about the break on this channel. When the break was first announced, signs pointed to it only lasting a month, taking off the holidays to start back up in January. And when this was the rumor, it didn't really seem like a big deal. Holiday breaks are pretty routine for television, and while this is technically on streaming, it was still somewhat understandable that they didn't want to miss out on any potential viewership. I know we don't want to excuse the corporate overlords for messing with our entertainment more than they already do, but December has to be one of the busiest, stressful times of the year. You got college students finishing up their semester, traveling back home and spending time with family. You have families who vacation during the month. Maybe they want to end the year on a high note at a resort, or are simply commuting to spend Christmas at that one aunt's house. You know, the one who orders margaritas at every meal and you're like, "Aunt Shirley, it's 9 in the morning." And she's like, "My body doesn't adhere to the construct known as time zones. Every hour is happy hour when your husband is making 6 figures. And then your uncle gets mad that she's talking about his salary in public again, and their kids start doom scrolling TikTok even faster. You know what I'm talking about. With so many people out and about during the holidays, it's reasonable that they'll forget to catch an episode drop until spoilers and memes are everywhere online. I know the plan they went with didn't exactly help the momentum, but I think running the season through December might have messed it up a bit anyway. But with that being said, as soon as the ball dropped, it should have been business as usual. There's absolutely no good reason for why we had to wait until the middle of March to continue the season. That actually did fumble the momentum and viewer investment more than a holiday run would have. So why did we have to wait so long for the second half of the season? Well, we don't have a concrete answer besides Kirkman's egregious claim that fans would want to take a breather after season 2 part 1. There's a few theories the internet has thrown out there that tracks, although one is more sinister on Prime's end than the others. The first theory is that this break aided the production, buying them time to not only finish season 2, but also get ahead on season 3. A pretty understandable answer that also scores Amazon Prime some points for not working artists and animators into an early grave. In fact, this is the answer that Mark Grayson himself champions. As voice actor Steven Yeun told Collider, "For us, we know that this big break was not fun. We've been working hard to get a lot of backlog done. We want to time this animation thing appropriately. So yeah, we've been working. We're banking episodes. We know what's going on." Okay, so cool. They're basically spreading things out so that Invincible can drop seasons more frequently. According to Robert Kirkman himself, the ideal scenario is having a season per year, like in the glory days of streaming and, well, television in general. Who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us and drop season 3 this fall. I wouldn't count on it though. However, it feels like the answer only tracks for season 3 and not season 2. You know, the season we're dealing with right now. Banking episodes and shorter gaps between seasons was the whole point of season 2 and 3 getting picked up together back in April 2021, although production didn't start for quite some time. The gap between season 1 and 2 mainly happened because Prime didn't renew it until the season premiered. A season of animation takes about 2 years to fully produce, so the gap we had was par for the course. With seasons 2 and 3 being produced together though, and the story artists who worked on those seasons rolling off months ago, season 3 might already be in the animation stages. The break doesn't really influence that. Personally, I think it's possible that only a handful of episodes were done in post by the time season 2 premiered, and they didn't want to push back the season further after already promising a 2023 release. However, what I think could be even more likely, and something we talked about before on this channel, is that this release schedule was directly influenced by the Hollywood strikes last year. With so many facets of entertainment coming to a screeching halt for 3 months, streaming services and networks had to rearrange their game plan. And if you look at Amazon Prime in particular, both Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Has Been Hotel were delayed from their original 2023 dates and pushed to early 2024, Has Been premiering in January, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith premiering in February. This was only done to stagger content and have a steady flow of releases throughout the year, appeasing subscribers and stockholders instead of having a dry spell when the strikes inevitably catch up to their backlog. With the Invincible Season 2 break being made public knowledge at San Diego Comic-Con, after the strike was already underway, I think we should consider the possibility that Prime made the call to split the season once the AMPTP saw that the actors and writers meant business. And then there's what I call the Mr. Krabs theory. Basically, in between parts 1 and 2 of this season of Invincible, Amazon Prime implemented ad breaks into their service, dangling an ad-free experience above our heads in exchange for a $3 upcharge. It's really annoying and not smooth whatsoever on account of these shows being designed for a seamless viewing. The only people who can interrupt a video mid-sentence for money are YouTubers, baby! Yes! Money, woo. This video is sponsored by... No, I'm just kidding. Unless... No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, streets are saying this break could have happened so Prime could shove ads down our throats during the really juicy parts of the season. I'm not too sure about this one, as Prime has probably been plotting on this change for a while, and if anything, this might have been a happy coincidence for them. The ads suck, but to get to the conclusion that this change caused the break, kinda just ignores everything else popular on Prime that's been releasing episodes in between Invincible's break. But the multi-billion-dollar company doesn't need any defending, as the break itself is really only half the problem here. The other half being the marketing. Something that's only gotten weirder as the season progresses. A lot of people had no idea that this show was back, and it's hard to blame them when the campaign was messy to say the least. For starters, the teaser for the announcement of the return date drew more attention than the actual announcement, which at the time of writing this only has about 324,000 views. Not the best numbers for a series with millions of fans. The actual trailer for the second half of the season only got 3 million views, a steep drop from the 12 million views on the Season 2 Part 1 trailer, but hey, better than 300k. Now you can also factor in the views from Twitter, TikTok, Insta, and so on, but even then, they're eclipsed by the numbers of Part 1's trailer. It's still pretty concerning. Prime seems to be convinced that the mere notion of building hype needs to be hyped up in itself, when in reality, it's just annoying people who just want to watch the show. They should have forfeited both return date teasers and just dropped the Part 2 trailer, date and all. Going for 3 didn't seem to make the impact they wanted, especially since, again, a lot of people were blindsided by its return. All the teasers evaded them. Ironically though, despite hyping up the release date 3 separate times, it feels like Amazon is doing the bare minimum to promote the show. Like, if you don't follow the show's Twitter account, you're kinda shit out of luck. The best example of this being the new release time of 12 a.m. PST, aka 3 a.m. on the East Coast. Something that was only announced hours prior to the mid-season premiere dropping. Sure, on one hand, people are getting the episodes early and they can watch them as soon as they wake up. But on the other hand, this just messed up people's schedule with the show. Dropping episodes on Thursday nights was cool because then everyone had time to tune in. It was close to the classic viewing experience cable provided. Who doesn't love a good food show and then hopping online to talk about it? Now, people either have to wake up and watch it ASAP to dodge spoilers or going through the gauntlet of surviving school or work before getting a chance to watch. It went from appointment viewing to every man for himself, and the only notice was the Twitter account. So many people are going to miss that. Yet this botched marketing seems intentional on Amazon's end, saving money on a big marketing campaign and relying on word of mouth instead. In fact, one of the executive producers for the series called this out back in October during the first half of the season. To quote Deadline, with a budget less than 4 times that of The Boys and barely any marketing, Amazon Prime Video's Invincible has succeeded through word of mouth and attracting new viewers to the genre, according to its EP, Marge Dean. I love Amazon, they're great, but there was barely any marketing for the show, added Dean as the first day of the Rome market concluded. This thing just popped up, but I had no idea what it was or what was going to happen. Dean added that a significant number of people who don't normally watch this stuff found the show and took a chance. Invincible managed to push on despite the dual US labor strikes, but Dean said there will be a gap in the genre soon as adult animation shows that were delayed take longer to get to screen. Since so many people already have Amazon Prime and Invincible is a show with batshit crazy cliffhangers, Amazon is comfortable doing the bare minimum to promote the show because they know fans will rave about it online. The fans are the marketing, which is probably why they weren't worried about the show falling off, because an insane cliffhanger like Rex watching his teammates get murked will motivate everyone to catch up once the edits and memes hit TikTok and Reels. I don't really think the word of mouth approach is the ideal solution. If you actually put in the time, effort, and money to market your show properly, more people will be exposed to it, which means more people will be talking about how good the show is, and more people will be tuning in as a result. Word word of mouth isn't exclusive to poor marketing. The only party benefiting from it is Amazon because, again, they get to save money. But with all this being said, did the break really kill Invincible? Did the show really fall off? While you can't deny that this release schedule and marketing fumble impacted the hype and left plenty of viewers out of the loop, I still think the allegations that it fell off are a huge exaggeration. For starters, the show is literally #1 on Prime as we speak, at least in the US. Clearly, people saw the show was back and started watching without hesitation. Hell, even a lot of the people who said it fell off still watched the episode. Most posts were phrased along the lines of, "Invincible really dropped one of the best episodes and made no noise, huh?" Like my brother in Christ. You tweeted this on a Thursday afternoon. Let people get home from work and ignore their kids first before making these claims. The most negative thing I've seen in terms of people being turned off by the release schedule is that they'll just wait until the season is over before watching all of it, which is not only completely valid, but is something plenty of people already do with a lot of shows airing weekly. Binge watching is just some people's preferred viewing experience. And while I think there's a magic to watching weekly, I don't think opting for one over the other is indicative of a show's quality or reputation. Nor do I think Prime Video cares all that much because they're getting metrics either way. Not to mention Season 2 Part 1 didn't really take off until the 3rd episode, despite having a substantial increase in viewership from the first season. It's almost a guarantee that Part 2 will go down a similar route. The first 2 weeks are people finding out the show's back and catching up. Between Omni-Man being taken in for execution and the season finale being titled "I Thought You Were Stronger," alluding toward an iconic moment from the comics, it feels like a reach to think the show has fallen off and won't reach the heights of the previous season. Maybe I'll eat my words, but I'm confident everyone and their grandma will be locked in for the remainder of the season, which kind of makes the whole situation a double-edged sword. If Season 2 Part 2 ends up falling short of expectations, future seasons could be in jeopardy. Keep in mind, there's no word of a renewal and there's no way the show can conclude in Season 3. But if the rest of the season performs just as strong, if not better than the first half, it'll enable Prime Video to pull this bullshit again, which nobody wants. Hopefully the backlash was strong enough for them to learn a lesson without the show itself being harmed through low viewership. That's just my take though, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Why do you think Invincible Season 2 got split up? Are you watching the rest of the season as it drops? Are you saving it all for a marathon? Or did you bow out of the show entirely? Let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to check out our breakdown on the newest episode. Thanks for watching, hit that subscribe button if you learned something new, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.